But first, wow. So the Oscars were last night, and anybody who knows me knows that I love movies. Thus, I love the Oscars. It's fourth straight year of watching the award show. And listen, it was much better than last year for a multitude of reasons. A, we actually had hosts, which, by the way, shout out to all three. Regina Hall, Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes did an unbelievable job, I thought. You had, obviously, they were back at the Dolby Theater. It was a weird setting last year. Almost looked like a banquet more than it looked like an award show. We had, obviously, more movies that people watched, I guess, because there were more theaters open, obviously, in 2021 than there were in 2020. So it was, all in all, I thought Will Packer, by the way, I believe was the first all-black production crew who put on the Oscars. I thought they did a phenomenal job. And the stories that were told, the speeches that were given, I thought it was an excellent production all the way together. But of course, that is getting overshadowed because of something that happened when the award for, I believe it was Best Documentary, was presented. Of course, you guys all know what I'm talking about at this point. Chris Rock, somebody who I've said multiple times on this show is my favorite comedian. He goes up there. He's presenting the award for documentary. He's ripping, Penelope Cruz and her husband, and he's kind of like going back and forth, ripping Hollywood couples. He's saying that, if Penelope Cruz loses in her category for, I believe she was nominated for Best Actress, her husband can't win because, that'll create some dynamic. And I read something about like the Oscar curse. If one spouse wins and the other one loses, like they divorce within 5 years. Anyways. So, of course, Chris Rock being the ad-libber that he is, and I do believe this was ad-libbed, given, the mannerisms. Chris Rock turns to Will Smith, his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. They were to his right. And again, I've got the transcript here, so I don't screw it up. I watched it live. I'll give him a reaction in just a second. But Chris Rock says, quote, "Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it." That was a nice one. That was a nice one, okay? Like he's trying to, hey, come on, man. That was a good one. I'm up here. Richard, saying Richard because, of course, Will Smith played Richard Williams, the father of the two great tennis players, Venus, Serena, who were both at the Oscars last night. And Will Smith is walking on stage, and my man Chris Rock is just standing there. He's not getting out of the way. I think he's just like all of us. He's like, what is going on? And Will slaps him. And Chris is, oh, wow. Will Smith just smacked the you-know-what out of me. And Will Smith sits back down next to his wife. He says, "Keep my wife's name out of your bleeping mouth." And Chris Rock says, "Wow, dude." And Will said, "Yes, Chris Rock, it was a G.I. Jane joke. Will Smith, keep my wife's name out of your bleeping mouth." Of course, if you watch it, Will says it with much more force this go around. Chris Rock, "I'm going to, okay?" "Oh, okay." And there's a long pause. That was the greatest night in the history of television. And see, I'm watching this live. I watched it with my sister, watched the whole thing start to finish. And I'm thinking when Will Smith's going up there, like, oh, this is like some little like skit they're doing. I don't know. And live, I thought he like shoved his shoulder or something. Like, given how the mic sounded when the contact occurred, I'm thinking, oh, it was like a shove. And then, of course, we see on Twitter that was no shove. That was, you watch in slow motion, he made contact with the cheekbone. And, so I'm watching, I'm like, was that real? Like, I'm watching, and I tweeted it immediately. I said, I don't think that was scripted. And the more and more tweets I'm starting to see come down my feed, and it's funny, they showed throughout the show Andrew Garfield, who was nominated for Tick, Tick, Boom, and Zendaya was there, who was a representative for the movie Dune, which won multiple awards. And you see them both, they're like, as the show was going, like looking down at their phones like the rest of us, like, what is going on? Like, seeing the Twitter reaction. But I'm thinking, dang, did he really just slap Chris Rock on live national television? Like, what just happened? And as my mother pointed out, and this is when I started to kind of come to a realization, like, oh, this was no skit, ladies and gentlemen. This was legit. Was like Chris Rock, who is, one of the best stand-up comedians of our generation. He's very quick. right? He's witty. He's quick-minded. I mean, what some people don't realize about comedians, they're some of the smartest people in the world because they are, quick, ad-libby, right? And Chris Rock is like a little shook, like, wow. Once it was time to present the nominees, he's like, I just show the nominees. It's like, well, you don't do that at the Oscars. You don't just say, I'll just show the nominees. He was shook. And so, I'm sitting there, and obviously we're all trying to just comprehend what happened. And, there was other awards given out, and I'll sort of get to that point in just a second. But what I will say is this. Obviously, the joke was made about Jada Pinkett Smith's hair. She has an autoimmune disease called, I believe, alopecia is how you pronounce it. And it's a condition. I looked it up. Alopecia is a condition in which sudden hair loss that starts with one or more circular bald patches that may overlap. Alopecia areata, I hope I'm saying that correctly, occurs when the immune system attacks hair follicles and may be brought on by severe stress. Okay, so it's an issue that Jada has been dealing with, right? And she's, tried to deal with it in her own way. And then actually you can check this on Instagram, December 28th of last year, so last few days of 2021, she says, okay, I'm going to shave my head. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe she shaved her head on Instagram Live. And she said, quote, about this. Now, at this point, I can only laugh. Y'all know I've been struggling with alopecia. And just all of a sudden one day, look at this line right here. Look at that. So it just showed up like that, and this is going to be a little bit more difficult for me to hide. So I thought I'd just share it with y'all, share it so y'all aren't asking any questions. But Mama's going to put some rhinestones in there. I'm going to make me a little crown. That's what Mama's going to do. Okay, so she's sort of, in her own words, embraced this. And what I think is, and I don't think enough people have brought this up, Will laughed at the joke. Now, it wasn't like, horse laughing, like head back, but he smiled. He laughed at the joke. He thought maybe I don't know if he was laughing it off. I don't know. Obviously, he wasn't offended as Jada was. The camera showed them both, and she was clearly more irritated than Will was. And so that's what made the moment all the more shocking is one camera frame, we see, oh, Will's laughing. 5 seconds later, he's up there smacking Chris Rock. It's like, wow, that one's, 0 to 100 real quick, as Drake said. That escalated quickly. And so, and Will, obviously, he won, deservedly so, by the way, won the Academy Award for the Best Actor in a Leading Role for King Richard. And he's talked about, love, and that was for love. And he apologized to the Academy. He apologized to the people there. Of course, he did not apologize to Chris Rock himself. But he's saying this is about love for his wife. I'm like, okay. And here's my question. The two of them, they're one of the most obviously famous celebrity power couples. We could talk about Beyonce and Jay-Z and on down from there. They're kind of at the top. But Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith are in that group. So they've lived very public lives. They've been open about their open marriage, right? And here's my question. And we know who Jada had an affair with. Why didn't Will slap him? What's Chris Rock got to do with any of this? Chris Rock didn't have an affair with Jada. What's going on in this dynamic? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. And here's the thing about award shows that you got to realize, if whether it's the Oscars, the Grammys, on that crap, even in the sports world, the ESPYs or the NFL honors or whatever. I mean, you can just Google Drake when he hosted the NBA awards. He ripped everybody. Like some of those, like his homeboys, like he ripped Draymond. I mean, he went after everybody. That's how award shows work, because you walk down the red carpet, you look like $1 million, you look incredible. And the press is kind of, for lack of a better term, kissing your butt a little bit. And then you walk in and whatever comedian, whether it's Chris Rock or Steve Martin or, Ricky Gervais or the three women that hosted last night, they just rip you. That's how it goes at award shows. That is award show code in its own way. I mean, Amy Schumer he wasn't there last night, but Amy Schumer made a joke about Leonardo DiCaprio that I thought was hilarious. I love DiCaprio, but I thought it was a hilarious joke. That's how it works. And so here's my thing. If Will has an issue with what Chris said, it wasn't a distasteful joke. Yeah, to a certain degree, although I would argue that calling Jada Pinkett Smith G.I. Jane isn't exactly an insult. I mean, you know, Demi Moore and G.I. Jane, that's kind of a strong female character. So I don't, but anyways, it wasn't the greatest joke in the world, right? Like, it wasn't like hilarious. And according to his reps, Chris Rock did not know that Jada had this condition. He wasn't aware. And so if Will's got an issue, here's the two things he shouldn't have done. Sat idly by or go slap him. That's what he shouldn't have done. Obviously, he chose the second of those options, and he, embarrassed himself and Chris Rock on national television, which I'll get to in just a second. But if you want to yell something from the crowd, I have no problem with that. Does it make it a little awkward? Does it kind of turn down the temperature at the Oscar? Yeah, or actually, I should say, turn up the temperature in the Oscar. Yeah, it does, but it's not blowing up the internet. It's trending. It's people talking about it. It doesn't blow up the internet. And also what it does, it causes a debate. Was Chris Rock out of line for that joke? Like, it clearly pissed Will and Jada off. Like, was he kind of out of line? Because here's the thing. The worst thing Chris Rock could have done is tell a bad joke. The worst thing that Will Smith could have done is knock the what out of Chris Rock, embarrass himself, embarrass Chris, and frankly, embarrass the Oscars. Because I will reiterate once again, I thought the three hosts did a remarkable job. And the real shame of it all was the best hour of the Oscars, as is often the case, was the last hour. Because you had Questlove from The Roots, who had that documentary, right? And gave a great speech. After winning, you had Jessica Chastain, one of my favorite actresses. She delivered a great speech for her role as Tammy Faye. I'm trying to remember who won Best Actor. I'm blanking right. Oh, oops, it was Will Smith. My bad. But Will Smith, he was kind of jumbled, and then you had obviously the Best Picture award. The best part of the show was the end. And it was Will Smith, not Chris Rock, ladies and gentlemen. It was Will Smith who cast a shadow over all that. And the real shame of it all is this. We talk about actors and actresses. Oh, they should have an Oscar by now. Well, up until last night, Will Smith was in that group. Will Smith should have had an Oscar by now. Okay. Spike Lee won his first Oscar. I was like, that's his first. Are you kidding me? Will Smith was in that group. Nobody will remember. The role, the movie, as time goes on, 10 years from now, we're not going to be talking about King Richard. We're not going to be talking about the fact that, oh man, after a great career and some unbelievable roles in some unbelievable movies, Will Smith, he finally broke through, he finally won an Oscar. And by the way, he was the betting favorite, overwhelming favorite to win Best Actor. That's what they're going to remember. If not just from that Oscars, but about Will Smith. Because here's the thing, is that, Chris Rock, to his credit, he took the high road for two reasons. Number one, he took the slap and didn't slap, didn't punch, didn't even physically retaliate whatsoever. Which, listen, let me tell you something. Chris Rock's a bigger man than me. Because if you go up there and slap me on live national television, hey, if you just go up and slap me and it's just the two of us, you're probably going to kick my behind, but I'm going to fight back. Like, that's just a natural human reaction. If somebody physically attacks you, you're not just going to sit idly by. So Chris Rock showed restraint there, because if he retaliates, and by the way, Will Smith would beat Chris Rock in a fight. I think their physical appearances tell you that. Like, the fact that Will Smith played Muhammad Ali and trained to play Muhammad Ali tells you that. Can you imagine the disaster? Secondly, Chris Rock did not come back verbally, because Chris Rock, being the bigger man in this, says, hey, listen, there's a show going on. The show, as the great William Shakespeare once said, the show must go on. We got to finish this. Okay. I'm going to give out this Oscar, and I'm going to go home. That's what's got to be. And so at the end of the day, again, I will reiterate this. When you live a public life, heck, if you're a celebrity, and in the case of Will and Jada, we're talking A-list celebrity. This isn't no like, oh yeah, I've heard of it. No. This is, the generation before me grew up on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? Or Men in Black, or whatever role you can think of for Will Smith. He's been in some great roles, some great movies. But if you've been that up in front of the public for this long, comedians are going to rip you. It's kind of an unwritten rule. You know, you hear me just rant about unwritten rules in baseball, right? But it's kind of an unwritten rule in comedy. Don't insult those. Don't punch down, basically. Don't punch down at the single mother who's fighting to take care of her 3 kids and working 2 jobs. Don't insult her, man. That's low. That's a low blow. But if they're on your level or higher, it's open season. Now, I will reiterate, there is a line that you can't cross. Disabilities, race, things of that nature, certain things are off limits. We know that. And we've seen a number of times comedians sort of go ad lib and they really step in it. I mean, like pretty much every comedian who's had any success at any level has done just that. That joke didn't step over the line. Was it distasteful? Sure. Could have selected a better joke. But again, G.I. Jane isn't exactly the worst insult in the world. And Jada herself has embraced this new look. And so Will Smith embarrassed himself. He embarrassed Chris Rock. He embarrassed the Academy. And it tainted the show. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.